All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Fans Union for the fans by the fans. Uh, got two of my lovely co-hosts with me, but Logan will be joining us. But in the meantime, fellas, what's going on?
Another day in paradise, baby.
Hey, what up, gang? It's good to see y'all, as always.
Well, fellas, so if you guys are listening, again, always appreciate that. We did a little bit different so we could have everybody together tonight. Put out that NFL episode last night, so make sure you go listen to that. It's available Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. And tonight it's time to talk about college football because 2 nights ago, so or when you guys hear this, it'll be 3 nights ago, I guess. The college football season came to its conclusion. A national championship, I don't think any of us would have predicted at the beginning of the year. But as we all know, Miami went to
I
play
think I was
the.
actually on the record predicting Miami to win. I picked them, but I didn't mean to cut you off.
I think I picked them to win. Like you talking about the beginning of the year, you picked them to win.
I think I did. I
Nah,
was on record telling one of my Miami fans I had them winning way back, but maybe not on the pod. But either way, I didn't mean to cut you off, bro.
you're good. Well, so Miami ends up falling short to the now 16-0 national champion Indiana Hoosiers. Again, 16-0 is just that's bizarre. I know, was it Sark who was saying you're not going to see teams with this schedule in this era of college football go undefeated anymore. Those 15-0 seasons. And if you would have told me Indiana would have been the one to do it, I just simply would have not entertained anything you ever said again. But here we are, boys. Indiana, 16-0, 27-21 victory. Year 2020, would they count as 2025 or 2026?
They say 25 to 26,
All
but
right,
I think
so
I think on like the merchant stuff it says 26.
yeah, so year 2026 national champs, the Indiana Hoosiers. And I know you would, if you would assume Bob Knight was attached to that, if you had heard that at any time of the year, or Isaiah Thomas. Isn't that where Isaiah Thomas went, Graham? Zeke? Pretty sure he went to
Ooh,
Indiana.
he from Chicago, but where he played college ball, I can't remember. But that
I'm
sound right.
pretty sure it's Indiana.
Yeah, that sound right.
But I actually have a book here about good old an Indiana basketball season. The a season on the brink. I wonder. I bet you we are getting a book soon about this Indiana season. I guarantee it.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Oh yeah,
So,
definitely.
but I mean, this is a team who, I mean, I think, including myself, everybody kind of chalked this team up to a team who doesn't play anybody, who is regular season merchants. When playoff season comes, they're not going to win anything, and that's what happened last year. They ended up, that was the only game they lost last year was Notre Dame, correct?
No, they lost to Ohio State too, didn't they?
Yeah,
Oh,
they lost 2 games last year.
Yeah.
okay, so they lost one regular season. That's right, regular season and playoff game. Okay,
They
so
got beat
they
like a
were,
drum both times.
yeah, and they were seen as like kind of merchants of playing a regular season schedule super easy. Same thing this year. But when that Ohio State game came up, I don't know if a switch flipped. I don't know what it was, but it was just, hey, we don't care about the talent gap. We don't care. We're the worst program ever. So, in terms of wins and losses, the worst program there was in college football. And here we are, they're national champs. Kurt Cignetti takes over, says to Google him, and now if you Google him, he's a national champion. So quite incredible, the year of the turnaround. Got a lot to talk about, whether, is Cignetti the best in college football? Can SEC still call itself the best conference? We're going to get into that. First, let's just get into this game a little bit. So I've rambled for about 3 minutes here. Fellas, tell me some things about the game that kind of jumps out to y'all.
Start us off, Graham.
Nah, man. I mean, for starters, I think what sticks out the most to me about this Indiana team, as I go ahead and give them their flowers and congratulate them. I know there's probably like a 0% chance that there's a Hoosier fan actually listening to this pod tonight. But for all the Hoosier fans out there, for those of y'all who really stuck it out, we know that there's plenty of y'all in the sense of like in that state and in that region because college football is that type of sport. Not to go on a whole, emotional tangent, but we got some of the best fans in all the sports within this sport. Anywhere you go, there's going to be fans of teams that don't fit the blue blood description, aren't good in a playoff sense or being ranked or anything like that. But people just love this sport a different way than what we do our professional sports. And shouts to all the fans out there who stuck through them treacherous years. Because like Joey said, y'all could do this, I think, like 30 more times and just come out to being 500 overall, like as a program. So it's something special to do at any point in time, but to do it in this day and age where, football is basically corporations now. The corporation of Texas, where they buying players left and right. Ohio State got NFL, basically caliber rosters every other spring, and so on and so forth. For a team and a program like Indiana to get it done, super special. But what sticks out the most to me about this team is I feel like nowadays a lot of these big programs are focused on maintaining an identity and maintaining a player personnel ratio, blase, blase. Cignetti said, fuck that shit. I want to win. I'm putting all the chips on the table, and it's time for y'all to remember the importance of that. I know we play the game and you play football, but when it get down to playoff football, it's playing to kill. And it seems like everyone else forgot about that besides Miami for certain parts, obviously. This year when they ran up on Indiana, we not here to, impress any recruits. If we do that in the process, that's great. We here to win this game. I don't care how old my players are versus yours, any of that shit. We came to win, and his team played with that attitude all year. Mendoza was definitely a highly touted quarterback coming out of the portal, but I don't think any of us expected him to go Heisman, Natty, undefeated season, the crazy trifecta on your head top. Shouts out to you, young man. I mean,
and probably going number 1 in the draft next year.
100% going number 1 in the draft. I think all any speculation about that not happening is just smoke and mirrors. He's 100% going to be the number 1 pick. And if he's not, shame on anybody who make that mistake. Whether it's the Raiders, they got the number 1, right? Yeah.
And the Raiders, they got to take a quarterback. They have no choice.
Yeah. Or if somebody trade up and don't do it, shame on them. If my Jets got the opportunity to get them, we better take them. And that don't got nothing to do with how I feel about RPOs and slants. We're not going to get into all that. We congratulating them and shouting out Indiana for, that accomplishment. Miami did hang around. They 2 impact players did, step up, i.e. Malachi Tony and, they running back Mark, Mark Fletcher. They both stepped up and did what they needed to do. I'm sure, Tripp going to hit us with some stats and some, more, analysis on some of the bigger plays that our former quarterback made in some of the, more pivotal stages of this game. But I more so wanted to just touch on, the DNA that I felt, I observed from Indiana on this playoff run. Like Joey hit on in the introduction, they made me stop and show some respect. I definitely had to check myself about, how I assessed this team about 1 quarter into this national championship, because I knew it was over. I knew it would get close, but I knew they had it done. They handled their business and they went undefeated. So shouts to them.
Yeah, I mean, I think I kind of felt the same way, and I'm glad that you hit on the points you did, Graham, about like, when this all first was said and done, you got a lot of people like, oh, the average age is 23, 24 years old, and, this is bad. This might be bad for the sport, and all kinds of other takes that came in. But
it's me. I'm people.
I mean, and I'm going to have my opinion on it, and this is where I'm about to have some self-reflection, just like Graham. It's like, well, it's not like it's illegal. Anybody could have done it. So
100%.
Why is Kurt the only one taking advantage of going and getting experienced players? Like, and just like Graham said, like there's programs that are too focused on like having an image of saying like, no, we do things the right way. We're going to live and die off of our program and how we do things. But as we can see, that might not win you a title. And if we're being honest, I think Kurt took a lot of notes from last year. Ohio State splashed in the portal more than anybody did last year. And look what it got them, a national championship. So, as much as I, as a fan of football and obviously being a Georgia fan, like I love watching young players develop. I love guys watching them come in. And I'll talk a little bit more about this when we talk about like our individual teams and, things we're thankful for this season. But like watching a young 18, 19-year-old kid come into SEC football, for example, and just grow and develop into something that's a potential first-round kind of guy. Like, I love seeing those stories. But in today's age in football, you got to grow with the sport. If you have the ability to go out and get a guy that's played 4 or 5 seasons and that's going to – you don't have to coach into how to be a football player. You just have to teach them a playbook. That might be the new meta. And I hate to say that, but that's just a sport and how it is. Want to give Indiana a huge shout out. That was a hell of a national championship game altogether. It was a fun game to watch on both sides of the ball. Mendoza, man, that kid's tough. He got his shit rocked left and right throughout that game and did not fall down one time. I mean, there's at one point he got his lip busted open. He faked a hand, or he handed the ball off, but faked like it was an option and that he took it. And I don't think it was Ruben Bain. I don't remember who it was. It was one of the linebackers came in and just put their helmet right underneath his chin, busted his lip wide open.
He kind of got hit like Gabe Harris hit Todd Simpson in that SEC championship game. If you know what hit I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, he was taking hits that we commended Gunner for taking all year long and putting himself in situations to, like he said in the post-game interview, he's like, I'll die for my team. Like, I'll do whatever it takes. Overall, though, can't take anything away from the guys, whether they're 23, 24 years old, whatever. They just had a very, very impressive season. First people to go 16-0. I mean, that's just an accomplishment that's not going to be touched, maybe again, if not for a long time. So I want to give them their flowers while I can. As far as stats go, Graham, you knew I was going to come loaded. I got a couple for you guys.
Stat man. It's the stat man.
Two stats in particular. I got three things I'm going to share, but two stats in particular that stood out to me more than the others. Indiana did not have a single turnover the entire playoff. Not one. So when we talk about, because I know we talked about Indiana last week going into this game and then building up to the playoffs and everything about how they just played complementary football so well. They played clean football. They proved that. In the hardest times of the year, they played clean football, and that's sometimes the difference maker in these close games. I mean, that one turnover in that national championship, Miami could have won with ease just by one turnover. So I thought that was crazy. I did not realize that they only had one turnover or zero turnovers the entire playoff. Another really impressive stat. The Hoosiers had as many wins over AP top 10 teams this season that they had in the entire history of the program. So they had only won 6 total games over top 10 opponents in their whole history of the program. This year, they tied that in just one season. So thought that was really crazy. But to talk about Mr. Sig himself, the Sig 10, as Logan calls it, that man just got paid big time. I know he just got, paid earlier in the season, but he got, let's see, he got $4.2 million in incentives in this playoff. He got $2 million for winning the national championship, $1.5 million for the Big Ten title and a top 2 finish, $500,000 for appearing in the college football playoff, $100,000 for 5+ wins in the conference, and $100,000 for being national coach of the year. So that guy just got a check and a half this season. So
yeah, they made those incentives like, oh yeah, we'll give you $2 million, win a national championship, whatever. That ain't gonna happen. And then come payday.
Yeah, but think about how much money that university made by being in that national.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
That's pennies to them. But overall, I think that it was really impressive to see how Miami put their foot on the gas when it came to the playoff, and had a lot of people in their ear saying they didn't deserve to be there. Notre Dame should have been over them since they were ranked above them the last few weeks, and Carson Beck wasn't the same Carson Beck we had seen before, even though he had a really good first half of the season. Overall, Miami was probably the most deserving, aside from Indiana, of any team in that playoff with the way they played at the second half of that stretch. So I want to commend Miami at the same time. They put on a hell of a show throughout the playoff as well, and they were a lot of fun to watch. It's crazy to see how it ended in perfect fashion with Carson Beck throwing a pick. I think somebody said that Carson Beck has like 9 total losses in his career, and 6 of them ended with him throwing a pick with a chance to win the game. So that's just about as Carson Beck as it gets. But overall, a lot of fun to watch Indiana this year and watch that national championship.
Logan, welcome.
Glad to be here.
Glad to have you, brother. We're just talking about Indiana a little bit. Before you go, Logan, I did want to mention, I was looking it up a second ago, and you want to talk about the disciplined football that we've mentioned, Indiana, that don't beat themselves. We've harped on that. Well, they're number 1 in the country in turnover margin, which I don't think comes as a surprise at all. And they're number 4 in 4th fewest penalties per game. Or excuse me, Number 4 in fewest penalties per game. So these guys, like, again, they don't beat themselves. Very well disciplined, very well coached, and it showed out here. I mean, there were times, I'm not going to call, defense playing really well and a defense making a good play. I'm not going to call that beating yourself per se. So they didn't do that. And ultimately, the biggest play of the game until the go-ahead touchdown was them blocking that kick. Blocking that punt back by the goal line, which I kind of thought for myself. I was thinking when that happened, I was like, is this kind of a good thing for Indiana or for Miami, in the sense that you would rather that happen than them drive down the field and take as much time as it would have taken off the clock? Because then Miami scores right after that, I believe. If I remember correctly, they score right after that. So who knows how it would have went, but ultimately, they made the biggest plays of the game, and that's what they've done the whole postseason. And something I just personally didn't see coming. We can dive in more on the Miami side here in a second, but Logan, go ahead. Welcome. What's on your mind?
So I joined in. Seems like perfect timing. So Trip, I saw that as well about the Carson Beck stat. The post that I seen said it was 6 total college losses. 4 of them ended in an interception where he could have won or tied the game.
I swear I was gonna say that, but I didn't want to cut him off. I was like, "Hey, I know too many losses as a Bulldog. He ain't lose 9 times as a Bulldog. I think he only lost 3 times as a Cane.
Yeah,
and then,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
2
times
so
as a Cane. Or yeah, 3 in this game.
Just before you continue, Logan, I just want to say test our sickoness. What games are those? Obviously, it's Bama, the SEC or no, the regular
Bama
season
twice.
Yeah, but I don't think he threw a pick in that first one though. He threw a pick in the regular season game.
I think the 2 that are not are Ole Miss last year and Bama. The Bama game you're talking about, Joey.
Yeah. Ole Miss.
So what are his other 4 losses? Would be SMU this year. It would be
Louisville.
Indiana this
Louisville.
year.
Yeah.
Louisville this year. There's 3 of them. Alabama game that Graham's naming. There's the 4 right there. There's all 6 games.
Fair enough. Okay. Well,
damn, boys. Sicko mode.
Yeah,
it helps you are Georgia fan. So
that Bama game, that one broke me in half. That one was horrible.
So he had 3 losses at Georgia?
Yeah, he lost twice to Bama, one in the SEC championship, and then once to Ole Miss. Yeah, now he's I'm glad we don't have to hear about Georgia torturing him anymore.
Hey, I can't say nothing. He got us back a couple weeks ago now, so that's neither here nor there, though. We're not going to talk about the sad times. So we're talking about Indiana specifically, right? Am I picking up this?
Yes.
Just focus on Indiana on this wrap.
To the winner no spoils. So I guess that's why we've been giving them all the spoils.
Fair enough. So I know I said previously on this podcast that I didn't feel like there was no Heisman candidate that had like a moment where it's like that's their Heisman moment. There was no Heisman candidate that like their numbers jumped off the page where he's like, clearly this guy's the guy. Hey, that boy Mendoza had his Heisman moment when 4th and 5, they put the nuts on the table and did a quarterback draw, and he gets smoked at the 3. He flips out of it and then dives in the end zone and gets smoked again as he's crossing the line. That was his Heisman moment. I know it came in the last game of the season where Heisman was already decided, but when you remember Fernando Mendoza, the Heisman champion, that's the play I remember. That, to me, is his Heisman moment. That's the play that solidifies him as a legacy quarterback. Obviously, he does at Indiana. He's got a legacy just off that. But that's the first play that will come to mind anytime someone says Fernando Mendoza in my head. Heisman Mendoza, whatever they were calling him. That's the play that comes to my mind right there. 4th and 5 for a second time you're in field goal range on that drive. On 4th and 5, you go to it. Or you go for it. You're trying your best to shut the door right then and there. 4th and 5, Cignetti calls a timeout, trots the offense back on the field because he called a timeout because he couldn't really make his mind up. Clearly makes the right call at the end of the day. Sends his Heisman quarterback out there and says, they're not going to see this draw coming. Go get him. And, I mean, not only does he get the first, the extra second effort, diving across the end zone. Pretty sick play by Mendoza, to be honest. That was just a fun play to watch. Like, it was one of those moments where like he just wants it more, so I can respect that second effort. And I don't know if you guys seen I think it was like in the ceremony afterwards. There's a picture of him with his hands behind his back, just like watching. And it's a picture of his like whole right arm. Is just looks like, dude, carpet burn, wood burn, whatever you want to call it. It just looked like that all the way up and down his right arm. And I'm like, dude, and he's just out there. Obviously, you're smiling. Your adrenaline's probably still pumping and stuff. You just won a natty, went undefeated. But yeah, so shout out to Mendoza. He doesn't have a passing touchdown, but I think that rushing touchdown alone just pretty much just solidified him, man. It made me feel better knowing, like, because I do think he's the worst Heisman quarterback we've probably seen that at least I can remember in our lifetimes, not when we were 2 or 3, but as far as I can remember. But I mean, that right there, that's going to shut me up, dude. That play is remarkable. I know I've been harping on that play for a couple of minutes, but I really think that was like putting your nuts out there. Like, I want it more than you. And he just looks like a little church boy. So the fact that he's out there grabbing his nuts and doing that, I'm like, dude, that's sick, So that was a pretty cool play. Mark Fletcher had a hell of a game. He broke off the big tud, obviously. But, I mean, also there was other spots in this game where he was keeping drives alive. The touchdown they scored right after the block punt recover for a touchdown, I'm pretty sure it was Mark Fletcher that ran that next touchdown in from Miami. I'm pretty sure he was the one that found the end zone. And then, obviously, he breaks off the big one. Mark Fletcher's a dog. Shout out to him, too. After the game, he went and found Mendoza, I want to say it was. Congratulated him. You always like to see the sportsmanship like that. You like to see when they publicize it, too. It's good for the sport. Yeah, it gets a little corny sometimes, I think we talked about before. But at the same time, it's like, I'd rather see that than people trying to throw hands and stuff like that.
Well, it's funny you say that.
It's the other side of the coin. That's where I'm going with that. But
it's funny you say that.
He does a little bit of both. He does a little bit of both. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, shout out to my man. He's keeping it real. He's got static on one end, but I'm still going to respect the core. Are we back? Okay, we're good. Oh, maybe. Mine got choppy for a second. Hopefully you can hear me.
I heard everything. If your audio listeners will
good?
have no problem.
Okay, sweet. My screen's just all y'all went black, like blinked black and whatever. But, yeah, so Mark Fletcher, I got static over here, but I'm going to respect the Heisman guy who went and got it for his team. So it was kind of cool to see both sides from Mark Fletcher, but you know what I mean? It was just kind of funny that he was the guy for both. But also on top of that, Malachi Tony has a crazy game. He's an animal. I really hope he's not the type of guy kind of like a Ryan Williams, where it's like he has this stellar freshman year, and it looks really hopeful, and it's only down from there. Because you see that happen with these guys, especially in college football, where like your freshman, like you can't go pro after 1 year. You have to stay 3 years. So like sometimes you see these guys their freshman year, like, oh my God, like this guy's gonna be incredible. We get to watch him for 3 years, and then the next 2 years they really don't, meet the same criteria. Like Johnny Manziel kind of comes to mind when I think about that. Like his freshman year was insane. We're like, oh, he's gonna be playing for a natty. He had good seasons, don't get me wrong, but he definitely peaked his freshman year. I don't think anyone would really argue that. I think there was other troubles going on there, obviously, but I really hope Malachi Tony doesn't end up being that. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, why I'm not worried about that with Malachi. That crazy game Ryan had that actually gave Carson his, second loss at Georgia, where I think he went for like $168. Did that crazy spin move where he, spun, 2 tacklers out of the way and all that. Maybe not to the fullest extent, maybe not like 100% of that game, but like 90% or more of that game that Ryan had, which is like a 1-of-1 for him. That's like every game for Malachi Tony. Like, yeah,
I'm about to say Ryan Williams peaked that game, not that freshman year. That game was his peak.
I mean, that's fair, but I'm not saying Tony's gonna fall off, but I'm just trying to think of it.
No, I was only saying why I'm not worried. I agree with your point because there is a lot of one-hit wonders or guys who go crazy. They freshman year and then sometimes fall down. But like,
and Joe,
I put Malachi in that same category as Jeremiah Smith up north at Ohio State, bro. Like, he one of them ones. I really feel that way.
I mean, I did too, but kind of like Joey said last night on the NFL pod. If you haven't listened, go tune in. Joey mentioned, like, I will never judge a starting quarterback off their rookie year. It's kind of like that feeling. I'm not saying it's the same, but that's kind of like the feeling it is. But the one thing that does worry me about Tony, it's not Tony, it's the quarterback situation. You got a 6-year quarterback out there who's a poised veteran. It could be a little bit of a difference when you got another young, like if a young guy steps in and he's a little rattled or whatever the case may be, that could make a difference. You know what I mean? So I think Beck probably helps a freshman like that. which he's got raw talent. He's got all the talent in the world. There's no denying that. But when you got a quarterback who's also just a poison vet, 6th year, I'm sure he helps calm down those freshman newcomers as well. So it kind of worries me of the next step. Does a quarterback have that same poise and be able to go find their key guy in big moments and just make sure, hey, I'm going to put it in my playmaker's hands and let him do the rest? Because Carson Beck's done that in big games. So that's part of the thing that kind of worries me a little bit, I guess. Not really Tony, but maybe the quarterback situation moving forward.
Hell, it looks like that's what they're going to do every
year. Had Will Howard, and now he still doing the same with Saying. So I just think they're a quarterback's best friend when they're that good. But I feel you, Logan.
I was going to say, it seems like that's what they're going to do every year, though, is get an experienced quarterback. I mean, at this rate, the assumption, I don't know what's going to go on with Darian Mensah. I don't know if y'all's like, they sued him today, some kind of restraining order. It's madness. I don't know what's going to go on. But the assumption was that he was going to go to Miami. So,
dude, that'd be crazy.
That could be their, if he goes to Miami, he's going number 1 next year.
Bro,
he's going number 1 next year.
Miami might win it all. I don't know who else they have coming back, but obviously their defense, if they're losing key guys there, that'd make a huge difference. But I mean, if you got Malachi Tony, I don't know about Mark Fletcher, but I haven't heard anything about him going. I don't know how old Fletcher is. I have no clue. I'll be honest. But if you get Fletcher and Tony back, and then you get what's his name?
Got the number one offensive tackle in that class.
Oh, Cantwell.
Cantwell will be a day 1 starter.
Yeah, Miami will be, if they pull that off, bro, they will be a problem. And they might be better, to be honest.
Fletcher's a junior.
So yeah, he's coming back.
He might hit the draft.
Not this day in college football. He ain't coming back. Or he ain't going pro.
What was I gonna say?
And not that he doesn't have talent. I'm not saying that. He's a dog. But this day and age, you come back for your senior year.
It was crazy. I'm pretty sure Malachi Tony, what's it called? Pretty sure he reclassified when he was in high school.
He did. This was supposed to be his senior year.
Yeah, imagine being a senior in high school facing this guy.
Dude, that's like Austin Simmons. He was at Ole Miss at like 16, 17 years old. Could you imagine that, man?
Imagine being in a national championship when you're supposed to be doing your SATs.
Right. Hey, can I ask y'all something? Just a little quick side note. Just it doesn't have to be super elaborate. Do you guys think about when you were in high school watching football games? Do you remember the best player that you saw play in high school?
Just football in general or sports?
Yeah, we'll just say football.
Chris Conley.
Oh man, he was unreal.
In person, like watching him his senior year at North Paulding on a cold ass fucking November night. Drove all the way up there. You know, North Paulding is kind of a drive from Dallas. You know, so drove up there, went and saw him play somebody. They was decent too, and I think he went for like 168 yards on like 5 catches. Something crazy.
My first high school football game at Paulding County High School was against North Paulding his senior year, and it was straight tunnel screen action going for 80 yards. I think the best player though I saw was probably Trevor Lawrence.
Are you saying that you actually got on a field against, or you just saw with your own eyes?
Just saw with your own eyes.
I didn't know that you played against Chris your freshman year, bro. I thought he'd been graduated before you was in high school.
No, he was class of 2011. I started high school in 2010.
Damn, just playing. I'm class of 15.
Hey, didn't PC play Cedartown in a scrimmage game whenever Chubb was there?
Oh God!
I want to say Chubb ran through PC it was a scrimmage game, not a regular season, but it was like the
sophomore, junior, and senior year. It was Rock Mart, so it had to have been freshman year. I really can't remember.
Hey, Tyreek Hill ran his sectional 100-meter race his senior year at Paulding.
Hey, I'll go ahead and say this.
I watched Tyreek Hill run track at Paulding.
Wow.
My top guy is someone you guys will not know, but I think I'm going to go with my boy Harry Peoples from back home in Mississippi, Winona. Harry Peoples was a dog. He played quarterback. He went on to play wide receiver at Louisiana Lafayette. He was I think Lafayette beat Florida in the bowl game that year, his senior year. He was a free agent, went undrafted, but signed with the Bears, was in their mini camp and stuff for a year. He won some rings in I think it was CFL or something like that. He ended up being a wide receiver, and CFL was like a good wide receiver. But yeah, he played for I think it's like the Durham Bulls or something like that. If that's a CFL team, it sounds right in my head, but I don't know. Harry Peoples was a dog though. They were like 2 games away from the state championship. Whenever I was there, I was probably like 4th, 5th grade, and I just remember like this man could like turn water into wine. He felt like the second coming. Like as a 4th grader watching this shit, I just remember like, whoa, shit. So my vote's Harry Peoples. He was a dog.
It's crazy because I know you brought up somebody from Mississippi, but how much good high school football we're able to see in Georgia is
I'm also talking about 2A talent, by the way.
What was the name of that guy that punted at Florida but played at East Paulding?
Chaz Henry.
I remember me and my dad used to go to East Paulding games whenever I was in middle school because I was playing like at the park where East Paulding was like the feeder team out of. And I remember I will never forget being in the freezing cold with my dad watching East Paulding play football and watching him punt a football in high school. Because, in high school, punters, 99% of the time,
It'd be ass.
It would just be like a fullback that they threw back there to kick it.
Logan's brother was our punter, and the more they tried to teach him, the worse he did. He just got out there, just winged it.
Chaz Henry was a dog with kicking that ball in high school.
Yeah.
I would never forget that. I remember my dad telling me, like, yeah, that kid's going to Florida. I was like, what? And he was like, look how good he can kick the damn ball. That's just a random memory that came across my head.
Oh, he was awesome, man. I remember. So the year after I graduated, your senior year, Graham, at Paulding, I did like a coaching internship, and they played New Manchester. And
you about
Brian,
to say Arian?
Yes,
bro. I think I was at that game with you, bro.
They said they made it a point. They said, do not punt to him. Whatever you do not punt the ball to him. And he had 2 punt return touchdowns that game.
For the crib, yeah. I was at that game with you, bro. I was literally about to name him. I was gonna say Harrion in high school was special. I'm gonna do a local pool here, man. But in elementary, Mitchell Webb was Tom Brady, man. I'm gonna tell you.
No.
In elementary school, Mitchell Webb was Tom Brady, dog.
I remember.
Let me tell you something, bro. I played up a year in pound ball. I always played up 1 year. So in 3rd grade, I played 4th grade ball. 4th grade, I played 5th grade ball. So I was playing Joey's grade. You know what I'm saying? I'm in pound ball. I played for Due West. We had a squad, bro. My 3rd grade year, I played with 4th graders. We had Omar Black, Aaron Toro, like a bunch of kids who, ended up being good for Harrison and whatnot. Yo, when I tell you we was undefeated, we had to play New Hope for the Turkey Bowl. Mitchell Webb, 4th grade, he had the big-ass stadium coat like Tom Brady on the sideline. I seen him blowing the cold smoke out of his mouth. I said, yo, this is the Teflon Don right here in front of me. Everybody was saying to me, too, they were like, yo, you going to get this close to him. You're not going to touch him, though. I was playing DN on this team. I probably got like 7, 8 sacks this year. I was low-key eating with the big dogs. Sure enough, bro, I swear, I touched the fabric of his jersey before I could even blink my eyes, bro, already stepping up in the pocket. Dumping it up over the top. Yo, he probably went undefeated all elementary school, bro. Mitchell Webb.
Dude, that New Hope team, because I played at New Hope during that time. That New Hope team didn't lose a game for like 5 years. And I remember in middle school, he was doing pull-ups. He was doing you remember the Dwayne Wade pregame? He would jump, grab the rim, and do pull-ups in it. He was doing that in 8th grade. I was like, excuse me?
Graham.
What is this?
You want to hear something funny about that?
I forgot he could hoop too, Joey.
He was a damn good baseball player too. My senior year, so we were in the same class. Me and I graduated the same year as Joey, and Mitchell Webb was that same grade. My senior year, our baseball coach decided he was going to prove a point and pull all the starters and start all freshmen against East Paulding, who was one of the best teams in the region. Mitchell Webb threw a no-hitter against our freshmen.
Hey, he also as a freshman started for Georgia Bulldogs at 3rd base.
Yeah, damn good ball player.
Hey, he signed to the Yankees. In real life,
is what I'm hearing. I'm hearing athlete.
In Clark real life, Mitchell Webb signed to the Yankees, man. The person we talking about is really like that in every way. And I ain't even trying to glaze, buddy. You a Paulding legend, bro. If we had a Paulding Mount Rushmore, you got to be up there in my eyes.
No doubt. But here, let's get back to this game a little bit. We got it off track with talking about Tony reclassifying.
Hey, no Tank and Smile Munden mention is kind of crazy.
Does Mitchell Webb have a COVID year to be Miami's quarterback next year? Is the real question I'm asking. You feel me? Like,
wait. Did y'all see that shit that what's his name was posting about Jake Fromm? There's got to be a way for him to come back for one more year. And Jake Fromm
I think Rusty said it.
Rusty. He said if He said Jake Fromm could 100% go back and fight a legal battle to get another year. And Jake Fromm said, if somebody fronts me the fees, I'll do it.
He can keep that. I'm good, brother.
Yeah. Go sell that insurance, brother.
Yeah. Yeah. You keep being that financial advisor, buddy. But so Indiana, 16-0, national champs, something that we summarized in already. One of the things that stemmed from this conversation is whether or not Kirk Cignetti is the best coach in college football. You know how that goes. As soon as anything happens in a sport, prisoner of the moment is so-and-so the best player in the world. I remember, like, especially I feel like in basketball, after every finals, whoever the best player on that finals team was, is this the best player in the world? Is this the best player in the world? I watched the Lakers win back-to-back in 09 and 10, and, both of them, it was no conversation. Kobe's the best. And then the Lakers get swept the next year by the Mavs, and it's like, well, LeBron's now the best. Like, it's always kind of and I know obviously LeBron didn't play for the Mavs, but it was always one of those things. And it's happening with Cignetti. What I'll say about that is this may be the most impressive. This is the best 2-year coaching job in the history of college football. I'm not going to deny that. However, when you talk about being the best in the country, right now, when you talk about being the best coach in the country, it's got to be sustained. This is not a 1-2 year thing. Now, granted, he's won double-digit games in back-to-back years. This one winning 16 on the way to a national championship. But I think we need to pump our brakes on calling him the best coach. And let's see. I'm not saying he has to win a national championship every year. But if every year he's getting Indiana to 10 wins, maybe not even going to the playoffs, but knocking on that door of the playoffs, I think it's a successful year for them. He's got to at least do that for 2 or 3 more years before I call him the best coach in the sport, personally. So
I'll go ahead and jump in here. We are not going to disrespect Kirby Smart like that. Y'all guys are biased. That's what y'all are going to get labeled as when y'all say that. Kirby Smart has been the best coach in college football for 5 straight years now, and you can argue with a wall. I don't give a shit what anyone says. Kirby Smart has been the best coach in college football since his first Natty, and there ain't no debating it in my book. Argue with the wall. You guys can jump in there. I just wanted to make sure there was an unbiased guy saying that on this podcast.
I'm glad you let that off.
To me, it's not even like just a pro. Yeah, it's Kirby Smart. Like, it's not even that. It's just you really got to be able to sustain this. That's what makes somebody really great.
I think that there's multiple things you have to consider, right? So, does Kurt have the possibility of becoming the greatest coach in the sport? 100%. Did he have the best program
ever or like currently?
Currently.
Oh.
Never. Nick Saban will probably die and be forever the best coach.
You saying so he got the chance to be the best coach in the sport?
Correct.
Yeah.
Like
okay.
as an active coach, he has the chance to be like, I'm the guy now. Like, I've taken the throne. I'm not saying that's not impossible. Does he have the greatest program turnaround of all time? As of right now, yeah, he 100% does. But it's not just about natties. It's about, like Joey said, consistency. Like, I want to see him do this for at least 5 – I'm not saying go to the college football playoff. You got to do this for 5 years minimum before I'm even looking at, like, let's not act like Kurt's been around for 20 years as a head coach at Indiana and has been doing this a long time. Like, if that's the conversation, James Franklin would like to talk. Like, he turned a program around and led them, to double-digit wins for however many seasons. Like, there's other people, but I think that Kirby is it for a lot of reasons. I think the way you can deflate that argument is if there's anybody that you think might be better than Kurt, right? So let's use Kirby for an example. And there's a couple other coaches that would like to have that conversation too. If you gave them the same roster, the same schedule, all of the above that Kurt had, would they be able to do the same thing? I think the answer would be yes for Kirby and maybe for a lot of other coaches. But it still was a very impressive season. And he's had a great 2 years. But Kirby was also the fastest coach to 100 wins. He was also a lot of other things to get to the point now where he's being called the greatest coach in college football. And he wasn't really called that until Nick Saban left and retired, so he had to wait his turn too. So I don't know. I don't think it's impossible that at some point he might be, but as of right now, I need to see a little bit more.
I want to real quick before you go, Graham. I do want to add to that real quick. When you're talking about, golly, I think I forgot it. I think my
Yeah,
brain.
I mean, I think hopefully I can hit on what you was about to say.
Yeah,
Joe.
sorry.
I mean,
Go ahead, bro. My
so
bad.
like, there's two ways to look at best in my mind, right? Especially when it comes to real sport enjoyers like us. So when you say best, in a sense of from the year of 2005 to 2015, the best quarterback in the league was Tom Brady, but the best quarterback of each season, Cam Newton was the best quarterback in the season he won the MVP because he the MVP. You can't be technically, if we talking about just straight form in the sport, you can't be the best quarterback in the same season that Cam Newton won an MVP or some of like he's just one of the quarterbacks who come to the top of my mind when I say like not only did they win MVP, but it was a hell of a performance. Josh Allen's, Lamar's, some of the Patrick's probably like first one, things of this nature. But we know that Brady was still the best quarterback in that time. And so in the same sense, when somebody say Kurt is the best coach right now, I'm going to be the contrarian because, yes, like Logan already said, I'm a Georgia fan. I'm a Georgia homer. I clearly believe that Kirby is still the best coach in the sport. But the truth is Kirby haven't won a playoff game since 2022. Last playoff game Kirby won was TCU. Right? Lost to a first-time head coach this year. Pete Golden's second game ever as a coach. Beat you in the playoffs. I know you didn't have your quarterback last year, but and that stuff happened with your pops. That's all terrible, but got Marcus Freeman to his first ever natty. Probably not going to make it again. I don't think he is. I don't got no faith in that. The truth is the blemishes on Kirby's record right now, just like Joey said, it's a war of attrition. The longer you coach, the more skeletons, people going to be able to kind of add to your name because that's what comes with it. The more that you coach, you rolling the dice. You can win it each year. And Kirby has won some SEC titles, bundled into them years that I'm, describing. But that don't change the fact that, yeah, Georgia hadn't won a natty since 1980. Indiana hadn't won a natty never. Indiana was the worst program ever. So is one with Indiana the same way as two with Georgia that already had two before that? If I'm being trying to be non-biased, maybe it do. So if anything, if I got to be completely non-biased and try and like really do this for argument's sake, maybe Kurt not the best right now, but maybe him and Kirby tie because one with Indiana got to hold more weight than one with Georgia. So is it 1.5 to 1 or whatever? I'm not going to get into all the metrics, but I'm just trying to hear it out for the people who are really trying to preach for how crazy of a feat this is. Ryan Day not doing that. Marcus Freeman not doing that. Dan Lanning damn sure not doing that. I agree with Tripp. I think Kirby could do it. He might have needed longer though, because we know Kirby not going to be in the portal like that. He would have been trying to recruit locally and doing things like that. So 2-year turnaround, like you said, that's a crazy feat. Craziest 2-year turnaround ever. So it's Kurt knocked off a lot of he checked a lot of boxes this season, man. We really got to give him his kudos. We got to give him his flowers.
Well, I didn't. My point was not to say that's not impressive or anything. My point is sustained success. Sustained. A guy who's been a part of teams. Kirby Smart has been his entire Georgia tenure, which I obviously know he inherits a good program in Georgia. He's been there for 10 years. There's been twice he hasn't won 10 games, and one of them was during a shortened COVID season. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. Sustained success, what I got to see that you do to prove this. And honestly, and I'm not blaming the man for it, I think the rules that were in place that led Indiana and Cignetti to be successful, I don't think those are going to get fit. Like, I think those are going to get fixed. Those are going to nerfed, if you will. I don't think those are going to be the rules for too long. So my question is, when it's about like I've seen Kirby Smart dominate high school recruiting every year. I've seen him make some huge, just like he did in the portal, obviously doesn't lead to a championship or even a playoff win, like you said, but still makes those huge additions right there. If somebody's at Indiana I know you said Kirby does the hometown recruiting. Indiana, you don't have the opportunity to recruit like you do in the state of Georgia. And you're at Indiana. You're not at Notre Dame. You're in Bloomington. You have no choice but to hit the portal. But he did that. Cignetti did that. Let me ask you this, Graham. What do you think is more valuable in college football in 2025, 2026? Getting that 5-star Elijah Griffin to come to Georgia, or finding that 5th-year, 6th-year defensive back that's played college football for 6 straight years and is put around people with similar experience and similar age? Which one do you think is more valuable at this point in college football?
I mean, I think Indiana's championship run, it's a no-brainer. It's got to be that.
Yes, exactly. That's kind of where we're at right now. I just don't see that being continued. They're going to get the guardrails on that. I mean, with what happened with college basketball, what's going on with college basketball, where players who are in the G League and in the NBA, they've been drafted, played professional basketball games, coming back. That is the ultimate sign that Congress is going to give NCAA the power to figure it out. Maybe put a commissioner in there. And I'm not trying to get on that tirade, but I think he is. No, you're good. I'm going to wrap it up right here. I think that he's playing the system very well, but I think the system is going to correct itself, and then I want to see who you are.
Yeah, no, I think you hit on a bunch of valid points, and I'm going to enjoy watching how it all plays out, because I think it's going to be interesting how all the committees and the NCAA and all those people interact. But if Kurt even gets back to another Natty in the next 3 years, I think I'm willing to say, man, that's just to do that with Indiana, bro. I'm trying to even think of what's the closest comparison to, like, what would even make sense to that. Like,
there isn't one.
It's to win a Natty and go back to one in maybe 2 years after that with the historically worst college football program ever. I get that he'd been in the rules and all that shit, and if the rules were this and if the rules were that, but if my auntie had a spin move, she might have been Hakeem, but she, that's not how shit works. So as long as the opportunity provide itself, Kurt really doing something special. But I hear you 100%. The sustainability is a huge factor in Kirby's last 10 years. When you look at it in that space, it's not even a question. So I 100% agree with you, bro.
If you ask me, did Curt Cignetti just have the most impressive year of college football ever? I'm going to agree with you. Was he the best coach in college football this year? I'm going to agree with you. But to say he's the best in the sport, that's where I could see. And I'm not saying it's a bad argument. If somebody has an argument for Kurt being the best coach in college football right now, they have very valid reasons to back that up, just like all the points you're making. I just think that I want to see this being done a little bit longer before I can say, like, I mean, that's like a rookie quarterback going into the NFL in their second year. They've had 2 great years, and we're like, oh my God, this is the greatest quarterback in the sport. It's not impossible, but are they going to continue that? Because if they don't, then we're never going to have that conversation again, So there's a million angles you could look at it. I see where both you guys are coming from. I just think we'll have to see. I do think that was the most impressive turnaround of a program ever, though. Like, there's not even a question of that.
Logan, are we being harsh enough on Kirby for not winning a playoff game in 3 years? And I wasn't trying to. I did say I was being the contrarian, because I do think Kirby is the best coach and all that, because I'm a Georgia fan. But the stuff that I rattled off, that shit is true. Like, do you think Georgia fans or people who are so quick to say Kirby's still number one, like, are people being harsh enough on those points?
Who won the SEC championship last year?
Fair point.
Who won the SEC championship this year?
Fair point.
And
if you hate on Kirby, bro,
but there's Big Ten fans who don't feel that same way like you and I do. You get what I'm saying?
Hey, we're gonna put some respect. It's now the Cignetti, and we will call it that until his title is relinquished.
That's funny.
I did that for you earlier, Logan.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, that's a good segue. So let's move on to something else. We've been pretty much.
I want to jump in on this, man.
Oh, my fault. Go ahead.
I'm out here waiting patiently. This man Joey said, "Look, Logan, you know what? Nobody.
You created a perfect segue. You really did. But please get your point off. Go ahead."
However, I want to touch a little bit on what Graham touched on a little bit ago. So the difference in the best and the greatest. I say this so many times when it comes to a LeBron and Jordan debate or like a Tom Brady. Like, I think there's a difference in greatness and being the best. Greatness to me involves like legacy and everything else. Like, for instance, like I always say this, Tom Brady, without a doubt, is the greatest quarterback of all time. There's no questioning it. However, if you ask me who I think the best quarterback of all time is, I'm going to say Aaron Rodgers every time. There's no one as efficient as Aaron Rodgers. He doesn't have as great of a legacy, doesn't have as many rings, as many big playoff wins, and yada, yada, yada. But also, we would all agree that the Patriots had way better teams. I mean, Aaron Rodgers didn't throw to a first-round wide receiver until he went to New York. I'll get it right one day. Yeah, he didn't throw to a first-round wide receiver, though, until, like, I think the Jets or something crazy. Like, it's insane. So, on that conversation, it's like the best – I'm kind of with Tripp. Like, the best this year, like, yeah, I'm going to say Cignetti. But, like, if you're saying the best in the sport, I think the difference there is, like, I'm going to think about, like, longevity as far as Kirby's been doing this, how long Kirby did it back-to-back. But on the other hand of that, I also agree with Tripp on this as well, is there's no denying it. You will never see someone take the worst program in history and in 2 years make them a title contender. And it's not like this was a one-hit wonder. Like, he put them on the map last year, and everybody was like, it's a fluke. No one thought he'd follow it up. They came back this year, new quarterback and everything, and they go win a Natty, and they go undefeated. With all that being said, though, before we get off the Indiana stuff, shout out to Indiana. Shout out to Mendoza. Shout out to Cignetti. But y'all have got to stop comparing them to 2019 LSU because it's not the same. It's not. Joe Burrow had, 30 more touchdowns or something crazy? Like, I love Joe Burrow, so I'm biased. I get that. But, yeah, it's not the same. All y'all are doing is making people hate on Indiana by making that unfair comparison because that's just an unfair comparison. It's completely unfair. However, though, I mean, yeah, undefeated 15-0 versus 16-0. I get all that jazz, but please stop making that comparison. And I'm not even going to go deep into it because, like I said, it's only going to seem like we're diminishing what Indiana has truly done. It is going to be the greatest turnaround in sports history. There's going to be a badass 30 for 30 or E6. There's going to be something out there on it. There's going to be something.
We're going to see a movie.
It's going to be insane. And I'm just going to wait for that little Cignetti. You know what I'm saying? That little point he does, little side eyes where he's like on the sidelines, looking like he's watching something in the microwave. He'd be making some crazy faces. But, yeah, Cignetti, I mean, I think this solidifies him in college football history. There's no doubt about it. I mean, he's one of, 3 or 4 coaches currently who have a Natty?
No, yeah.
Coaches has a Natty right now. You got Kirby, Ryan Day, Cignetti. Who else?
And Dabo.
Oh, yeah. Damn, that seems like a lifetime ago. Dabo. Absolutely right, though. He's
got 2.
I don't even mean that to be funny. That feels like a lifetime ago. Holy smokes. But is that the only 4?
Yeah.
Crazy. What a world this is.
Well, what was I going to say? Yeah, with one thing I'm excited about Cignetti is just because, I care about, sports, anything in sports being big. I was talking to Tripp about this the other day. I feel like, Tripp, was it you that I texted when I was talking about, like, baseball was better, too, when the managers were just as big of stars as the players?
Yeah, and I said there's more people that knew Bobby Cox than half the players in the league.
Right. I think Kirk Cignetti could reach that. I think he is in line to be there because college football, really, coaches aren't super famous. I mean, maybe Lane Kiffin is probably the most famous for
get off Twitter,
right? But I think I could see Cignetti becoming like a sweeping national sensation. So, but if we don't have any more to add to that, I do want to transition to something Logan kind of said earlier about the Sig 10, the now this is what it's called now, but the Big 10. Graham, perfect timing. Graham said it the other day when I sent this to y'all. Fellas, you say you probably have remembered watching football since you were roughly about 12, 11 years old, like really can recall stuff about what you watched right around there. our entire life, the SEC's really been the best conference. There's no doubt about it. When you look at the talent they've brought in, guys they've put in the NFL, championships won, I mean, the conference versus conference games, out of conference record. Fellas, like Graham said, I think the chain's been snatched. I don't think there's anything concrete to prove that anymore. This year, Big Ten 10-4 in playoff game or bowl games. SEC 2-8. 2-8. And this is we're talking. So who would the winners be? One is Texas. Who else won?
Couldn't even tell you.
I know
Yeah,
Texas.
A&M, look, let's just run down. Let's just run down from the top of our rankings. Who was actually ranked in the top? You got A&M, even though we won the SEC, but they were the top rated. Going in before the SEC championship. A&M got their doors blown off. Not really, but they dropped a complete egg at home and lost to Miami. Played like shit. Marcel Reed threw like 5 interceptions. Georgia still can't win a playoff game. Haven't won a playoff game since TCU. That's a fact. SEC fans would say, yo, who's y'all's best coach? Because their best coach is Kurt. Our best coach is Kirby. We ain't won a playoff game since 2022. Bama beat Oklahoma, so the conference beat itself.
Same thing with Georgia and Ole Miss as well.
You said, yeah, that is true. But yeah, Ole Miss that was the second win. It was Ole Miss and who the other team you said?
No, because Alabama won a game too. Texas beat Michigan.
So it's 3.
So yeah, those were teams that were not in the playoff. This is bowl season.
Right.
2 SEC teams won a game. 10 Big Ten teams won a game.
Oh, so that's not even including the playoff games you're saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
And not to mention, like, I hated when people were like, I thought it was kind of overblown at first, where it was like, oh, the SEC doesn't have the NIL doesn't have power anymore. Big Ten's winning championship. It was Ohio State and Michigan, 2 of the most prestigious programs ever. Like, that's not a surprise. But Indiana comes in, and not to mention Thrax's, the SEC golden child of the past 20 years. Just absolutely, it's horrifically uncompetitive game. And I think with that and how bad SEC's been performing in bowls, I think Big Ten's the best conference in football.
Joey, add more context to that Bama win. That's Kirby's boogeyman. You're fucking 2-11 against them. Kurt smacked them the fuck around like it was a walk in the park, bro.
We did the same thing there a few weeks earlier.
Not the same way. Our offense damn near didn't even get 250 yards of offense. I'm just saying, Joey. I don't know, man. Shit's looking bad. You know, I'm an SEC guy, but I'm just trying to look from their lens. They popping their shit right now, and rightfully so.
No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what I'm saying.
If it was us, we'd be doing the same thing to them.
Yeah.
What if Vandy did this?
What does the SEC have to hang on, maybe besides recruiting, that makes you the best conference in America?
That's what I'm saying.
Tripp, do you think there's anything for the SEC to hang on right now? I don't.
Not really. I mean, not only is the Big Ten winning the last 3 natties, they've done it with 3 different teams. Indiana just beat the second best, or what some people thought was the best team in the Big Ten to get there through the championship, and then beat the 3rd best Big Ten team twice in the same season to get there. So it's hard to debate, man. I mean, obviously with NIL now, talent is more spread. You've got teams competing for playoff spots that you don't normally see because they can pay players to get there. I think the funniest thing about all this was Nick Saban's comment about the Big Ten when he said, yeah, thank God for the NIL for the Big Ten, because who the hell from the South would want to go up north unless you gave him money for it? So I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to debate, man. I mean, when you win 3 titles in a row from your conference, and Georgia hasn't, the last team to do it was Georgia back-to-back. I mean,
because if an SEC team won 3 championships in a row, like, I mean, obviously it's happened before, but like what the Big Ten is doing right now with the inter-squad record, there would be no conversation piece about this. Like, there wouldn't be. I mean, I'm watching these bowl games, and I'm like, we have Vanderbilt, who was campaigning on TikTok doing dances that they should have been in this game And this would drive me nuts about teams like that. Bowl season is your chance to go prove that. I don't want to hear, oh, well, so and so declared they don't take this game serious. It's a meaningless bowl game. Don't care. You got your one chance to prove it in that bowl game. You don't do it. That's your fault. You got to sleep with that. Drives me insane.
I mean, but really and truthfully, though, not the two things can be true at once.
I will say this, and I'm a proponent of bowl games. Y'all all know that because me and Joey have had long debates about bowl games not meaning anything, and me being an Ole Miss fan being like, "Yeah, you're crazy. You're just a spoiled Georgia fan."
And he was right.
It is not the same though. Like you're not gonna like. It's rare that a team, and this is why Kirby Smart's the best in football. Kirby Smart got them boys up and ready to play against Florida State that year. It's not easy to do that on a bowl game. A bowl game is more like fun and you're having the experience. You're gearing up to play playoffs. It's a different. There's no fun. There's no for the experience. I'm going to win a damn natty. That's the mindset going into a playoff game. In a bowl game, you're having a lot more fun. You're a lot more relaxed. I'm sure the practices are nowhere near as intense. And I still believe bowl games are important for the sport. But, I mean, a spade's a spade at the end of the day. And also, like, yeah, I mean, it's fair to say Big Ten is the better conference at the moment. 3 straight natties. You can't really argue that. It is what it is. But at the same time, I'm sitting here looking, and it's like the SEC is 3-4 in playoff games. So that's 7 games that involve an SEC team. 2 of those losses are against the SEC. Like Oklahoma got beat out by Bama. Georgia got beat out by Ole Miss. Who did Alabama lose to? Oh, the national champions. Who did Ole Miss lose to? Oh, the runner-ups. It's like, you know what I mean? It's not like they're dropping eggs against teams they shouldn't really be losing to. It's like Ole Miss called a red-hot Miami team, and Alabama called an Indiana team that was steamrolling everybody. Like, it's. I feel like, yes, Big Ten is better. I'm not saying that. But I feel like people are acting like SEC just turned into the ACC all of a sudden. It's like, okay, let's calm the hell down. SEC is still a great conference. Like, you literally just had, 6 teams in there? Like, you had 2 teams, 2 different times that you have situations where SEC is playing SEC. And I think at the end of the day, you got to sit back and think about that. Like, that's insane. And, yeah, I get it. Oregon did play Indiana, so that's part of it as well. But to me, like, you're talking about 6 teams versus 3 teams in. And you're also week to week playing much better opponents week in and week out. I still truly believe that. I think top to bottom, when you take into consideration, like, the entire conference, I think SEC does have the better conference. However, Big Ten is top heavy, and they have 3-4 teams that are just really damn good. Like, I think Ohio State, Oregon, and Indiana would hold their own against any team in the SEC. But the further you go down that list, the more that is not the same. And I feel like SEC teams would be able to hold their own with some of those top teams. And I know it's one of those hearsay things. Like, there's no real proof to really put that to the test. But, I mean, I just feel like if you take the 7th best Big Ten team is, I have no idea who that is off the top of my head. You take the 7th best Big Ten team and you let them go play say the 3rd best team in the SEC this year, which on paper, who was that? A&M? Was it like Georgia, Ole Miss, A&M probably? Top 3?
I guess technically it would be either it would be probably Alabama or Ole Miss. Or no.
I know the final rankings, Ole Miss was 3, Georgia was 5, and somehow Bama moved up 2 spots, which is fucking stupid. But anyways, the final rankings were something like that, though. So let's just say it was A&M, though. A&M, I think, can go hold their own against an Oregon or an Ohio State. I don't know about Indiana because Indiana seems like they just can blow the doors off anybody. But if then you take the 7th best SEC team and you go play Oregon, I think they're holding their own, if that makes sense what I'm trying to say. I might have flip-flopped what I was trying to say. But either way, I do think the SEC is deeper, and I just think that Big Ten's a little top-heavy. But at the end of the day, if the top-heaviness means your conference is solidifying a championship 3 straight years, by all means, go do what you got to do.
I think you could make the argument about the SEC, like being, hey, our 5th team maybe, or our 6th team maybe better than your 3rd team, however you want to word that. But I don't think there's any like concrete proof that the SEC is better right now. And I think there had been that for quite some time, even despite the 2 straight national championships before Indiana won. But now you're hanging on to how well you can articulate an argument to prove that the Big Ten is better.
But my thing is,
the big issue is who's the best player in college football right now, bar none.
Probably Jeremiah Smith.
Okay, one. Who's the best coach right now today? I know we having this argument. I don't mean body of work. I just mean today, based off what we did this year. Who the best coach?
Cignetti was the best coach this year.
All right. Who was it last year? So it's like it's hard to prove that point when you can go. You could maybe argue Harbaugh wasn't the best coach in the country when they won the Natty, but you can for sure go, Ryan Day, that resurrection tour he did through the playoffs, he earned the right to say he was the best coach that year.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
As well, so.
Is like SEC, you've really got to articulate your argument in a really precise and one-sided way to prove that they're better than the Big Ten, because there's no record like score sheet, box score, ranking. There's nothing you can look at right now to prove that the SEC is better than the Big Ten, and I don't think they are.
Not to interrupt, if you want something that's cold hard fact that's inarguable, why did SEC damn near make up half of the playoff bracket?
Well, see, this gets into
the bowl record's not as good because there's five SEC teams in the playoffs. They're not playing in the Pop-Tart Bowl or whatever the hell else, the Liberty Bowl. Like, they're in playoff games. So that also makes a difference. That the 4th and 5th best team for the Big Ten, they're going and playing in those games where SEC is. And, I mean, like I said, I think Big Ten, they've had the powerhouses, like the big-time guys, the top 3 guys, like top-heavy, like I keep saying. But, I mean, as far as depth, I think SEC in depth is a better conference week in and week out. There's not as many blowouts. You're not playing Purdue or whoever the hell else. But like I said, at the end of the day, like if you got 3 teams who are getting you to the dance and solidifying you a championship, then it is what it is. Like it's kind of like NBA for years. There was big threes everywhere and not as many role players. Like it was more so just focus on the big 3 getting you there. So it's like if the big 3 can get you there, then by all means, like play those cards, like do it until it doesn't work.
So, but that's one part of the argument when it comes to SEC teams, when you talk about the ranking, is that I don't know if you want to call it SEC biased or just the notoriety of being, this powerhouse conference affects voters, writers, whoever, initially introduces the AP poll, who any of the voters are, that they are overrating them because they're an SEC team. That's where that argument comes up. And I think if you look I think if you look at that bowl record, there is some substance in that point. Now, I think the biggest thing you could argue for the SEC is the talent disparity. Despite NIL, there's still more talent in the SEC than anywhere else. I mean, if we're just per rankings, per 4- and 5-star recruiting rankings, there's still more talent in the SEC. There's no doubt. But again, that's always been a thing is, hey, like I saw so many people that were all the SEC teams, how they play in the bowl season, how they play in the playoffs, even though, one goes to the semifinals. It turns into, hey, let's stop giving these guys half the playing field. Because, I mean, outside the South, that's pretty much how everybody feels.
Hey, let's do this. Let's try to make this to be a point. Just this will help solidify the argument or at least make it more of an argument. After the NFL draft this year, let's go find the numbers of what conference has more players drafted and also what conference has more first-rounders and second-rounders, first-day draft picks, stuff like I would love to see that breakdown after the draft.
I think this draft is going to be the wrong one for that one.
Hey, but no, if we're talking about current, let's do it current. Let's not be biased and be like, oh, let's not do it this draft because that's
no. Because the Big Ten is going to be littered everywhere in this draft.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Like SEC, we're all SEC biased. There's no doubt. But I'm saying this is the type of we already said like, okay, the Sig 10 is definitely the best conference at this current state in college football. But I mean, after the draft, okay, let's break it down in the NFL episode. Let's come in here on a college episode and be like, this is where we lay it on the line. This is where everybody brings their debate. You pick your side and you tell me why. Or maybe you pick both sides and you can argue both sides and you can figure it out. But also one thing that kind of on paper, like we're talking about, like something that's hard evidence. What isn't more hard evident than look how many NFL players were in this conference? I think that alone will help solidify conference rankings, if that makes sense to you guys. I just feel like if you're putting on paper how much NFL talent is in a single conference, which, like you said, I think Big Ten is going to have a lot. I think SEC will probably have a lot. But that alone, I think, helps kind of solidify an argument on either side or for both sides where it's like, hey, look at all these guys.
Dude, I'm
Well,
looking.
I guess
I'm
the
looking at
whole-
the draft real quick, Graham, before you go. I'm looking at a mock draft right now. I'm just looking at the top 10. There is not a single. There's one SEC player predicting the top 10. It's a mock draft. Nobody knows, but I think the Big Ten is between Oregon and Ohio State is going to be littered with first
Indiana
round picks.
got to have some guys after these past few.
They're going to
weeks.
have at least one with Mendoza, but Graham,
I
go ahead.
wasn't saying that in a sense of it was going to make SEC look good. I was just saying that in a sense of like that's some cold hard facts we can bring to the table once that happens. But
Fair
go ahead.
enough.
No, yeah, I mean, these are all the things that we know and we discuss in our inner circles all the time because we live in the South and we're all SEC fans. We know that. I know that Auburn is a storied program and they won a Natty as recently as, with having Cam on their team a few years back. But Auburn, statistically speaking, in the last few seasons, that is our Purdue now. We know that there's a difference. We know. But there is a huge chunk of this college football fan base who live in the Sig 10, are Sig 10 fans, and they don't, whether that's true or not, they don't have to hear that shit, especially when they going 3 back to back to back. All that shit we talking most draft picks, blue chip ratio as far as recruits, stadium size, recruiting base and all that shit. That's all the shit that we know. We know that football is better in the South. We know that there's 5 states in the South that amount for like 80% of the NFL, literally. Literally, Sandy Springs alone account for like 67 players in the NFL.
Gwinnett County?
And that's dead ass serious. So, yeah, we all know that. But Big Ten fans can rightfully live in their delusion when they go back to back to back like that. 3 different teams, like y'all said. When's the last time SEC went back to back to back with 3 different teams? These are things that that the Big Ten is able to do right now. So it's not me saying that it's not true, Logan, because I do think that the front half of the draft will be Big Ten loaded, but the back half will be SEC loaded, and it will kind of even out. And even if they do win this year, so what? Look at the last 20. We probably went like 17-3 compared to y'all. It's an SEC dominated draft as far as who's getting drafted the most and shit. We know that, but to Big Ten fans, they probably saying that's all just participation trophies and little fuck shit that losers talk about. We win in the fucking Natty. At the end of the day, we play this sport to win Natties. We win in Natties. We got Heisman Trophy winners winning the Natty, being the MVP in the Natty, being the story of the season. Our coach was the story of the season. We doing that shit now. All that shit y'all talking about, cool. If we keep winning Natties while y'all doing all that, what does it matter? I guess is what they saying. You get what I mean?
Yes, 100%.
Hey, it's crazy, Graham? The last time the SEC Hold on. I don't know if y'all can hear this. I don't know. All right, sorry. You speaking on that, talking about 3 straight national champions, 3 different teams. I was like, let me pull this 2019 is LSU, 2020 is Alabama, 2021 is Georgia, 2022 is Georgia. So surprisingly, it's way more recent than I expected. I thought it was going to be like early 2000s or mid 2000s. I didn't expect it to be that recent.
I thought you was going to say LSU.
You got LSU in 19.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking it'd be back then. But no,
Yeah.
I mean, it's LSU 19. You got Bama 20 and Georgia 21 and 22. So, I mean, it's actually pretty recent.
Good point, Logan. That's a good point.
And as SEC fans, folks was popping that shit like
we was.
Popping it. You know what I mean? Trip, we've been having you on mute for some reason this past 20 minutes. You got anything else to add before we move on to our final segment?
No, I mean, I think you guys all make valid points. It's just a matter of what angle you want to approach it. I mean, if you're looking at it, like I said, from who's dominating right now as far as winning natties, like Graham's point, it's the Big Ten. It's not even a question. But Logan does make a good point to say 5 of the 12 playoff teams in this playoff were SEC teams. You have 2 of those SEC teams on the cusp of knocking on the door saying, hey, we deserve a spot as well. So and I will die on this hill. Bowl games don't mean shit. I don't care what anybody says. And I mean that in today's sport. I'm not saying bowl games have never meant shit. In today's world with a 12-team playoff, bowl games mean absolutely nothing. We have teams that with losing records having to go take spots in bowl games because people are opting out of them. So that argument to me will never be valid. If you tell me bowl games mean things for big schools, like I think Texas beating Michigan is great. But if Arch Manning was a junior about to go to the draft, he doesn't play past the second quarter. So to me, if your best guys are not on the field to play a full 4 quarters, it's not a true matchup at that point to me. So, and this is me. I'm not saying everybody has to believe this. This is my opinion. I'm not saying that if you say bowl games mean something that you're wrong. I think it does to a lot of programs. But to me, in today's world, I don't give a fuck about bowl games. I'm going to be completely honest with y'all. I didn't watch a single one. I think I watched like 2 quarters of the Texas-Michigan game and maybe a couple other games that were on the background on my TV because no other sports were on at that time. I did not watch a single bowl game from start to finish until the playoffs started. So
are you bringing that point up to remove that there's credence in the discrepancy between the SEC and Big Ten and bowl season?
Yes. So like
Okay.
if we're talking about bowl records, I think that Logan's point is very crucial to consider that your 5 quote unquote best teams of your conference aren't competing for that record in the bowl games. So you've got teams like Texas, who obviously is one of your best that's going in there, finished with a hot season. That counts because they went and won theirs. Did Vandy win their bowl game?
No, they lost to Iowa.
Yeah,
Okay.
Iowa.
Vandy loses theirs. And then everybody from there on is the bottom third of the SEC. So if they made a bowl game, who knows what the hell they did in them. So, and honestly, I don't care because to me, like I said, with today's college football, they mean absolutely nothing. Literally, they give
I
you
will
nothing.
say,
It's a
But
trophy
isn't
and
it
a
bad
trophy.
that Tennessee lost their bowl game after losing to Vandy too? Like, isn't that bad, bro? Like, as a conference, we still gotta have some standards, bro. Like, Tennessee lost a bowl game after getting a season ended by Vandy at home.
Here's another thing you also have to think about too, and I think you make a great point, Graham. How many of those players after the Tennessee season was over, before the bowl
Checked
season
out.
even started, transferred?
Yeah.
How many of them are gone?
yeah,
Like,
the portal is trip. Like
Yeah.
I still agree. I still am on the mindset that bowl games do mean something. However, the gap between what bowl games were when Logan and I had that conversation in like 2022 and now is 2 totally different things.
that's what I
'Cause
mean.
It sucks because, I mean, dude, forget bowl games. Guys are transferring while their team are in the playoffs.
That's exactly my whole point. Iowa beating Vandy, to them, that's huge. That's huge. Let's not forget, just a couple years ago, they were in the Big Ten championship as well. So we don't really know how huge that is for them, to be honest. As a program, probably a nice little trophy to add to your little shadow box in your auditorium. But overall, when you have players transferring out, you got people declaring for the draft, I mean, you have to consider, like, there's guys don't even play in the Senior Bowl anymore, like, because they don't want to go get hurt. I don't blame them. So, like, that to me is like, if you're not getting the true roster versus the true roster, how can you truly say the 2025 Iowa Hawkeyes beat the 2025 Vanderbilt Commodores? You get what I'm saying? Like,
I
it's
think
hard to
that
say that.
I hate, like, I mean, you're objectively you're right about this, but I hate that that's a thing. Like,
I agree.
we
I agree 100%.
college football's got to do something, or else these games are going to evaporate. That's what Kirby Smart said after the freaking shellacking they put on Florida State. And he said, college football's got a problem. We know what it is. We got to get it figured out. And honestly, I commend the Big Ten for treating these bowl games like it's an extra regular season game, no matter what the case is. I really commend them for that. I think it's more of a positive, like a kudos to them, than it is a kudos to the SEC of, oh, well, your best guys don't want to play. Your best guys are opting out. Some of your people are transferring. That's more of a problem. That's the epidemic with the SEC. That's got to get fixed. What the Big Ten is doing in these games is the right way to do it. I don't want to take that away from them, but of course the reality is they're not. The loaded SEC teams that play. When I say loaded, I don't mean like overmatched. I mean just at full strength teams are still available, but they've got to get that fixed, man. They've got to get that fixed.
I agree, 100%.
Places like Jordan Hare aren't going to stay that way if each year fans hear, hey, Disney just pumped another $29 trillion fucking dollars into the sport. And our program that, granted, maybe an Auburn fan shouldn't be realistic to say, hey, we should win the Natty this year. But, bro, they stink, bro. They fucking suck every year. Does that make sense that now you're allowed to pay? Good programs are allowed to, swing they cachet around and make shit happen for them. And you got teams like Indiana winning a Natty, and y'all can't even go 500. Cam Coleman just left. Like, what's the silver lining for an Auburn fan? But we over here as SEC fans who we care more, and it means more. It do mean more to us. I know it mean more to Logan. I truly feel Logan cared 1,000% more about fucking SEC football as a whole, not even just about Ole Miss, than at least 10 fucking board members on the SEC fucking committee. I watched Greg Sankey not even fucking congratulate Kirby Smart for winning the SEC title last year. He stood on the stage and said, congratulations to Texas for coming out here and playing a good game, and walked the fuck off. We love this shit way more than it seems like the people who are running it. And Joey's hitting on a good reflection of that shit. While we talking about why does it matter if guys leaving, you make a good point, Trip. Them dudes did dip out. Like Tennessee lost their game because Boo Carter and 11 other fucking guys hit the portal 48 hours after they lost to Vandy. That is the truth. I know that's the reason. But why should Big Ten fans give a fuck? They done won 3 in a row, and all we keep talking about is how these prima donna ass kids don't give a fuck. That's a problem that we about to have to solve, because even on the other side of the spectrum, look at the teams in the SEC who do care about not being shitheads or whatever. Like Georgia's still trying to figure out how to win a playoff game since beating TCU. So I think it is like a real problem we got on our hands, boys. Like this
devil's advocate. To play devil's advocate, if I'm a Big Ten fan and I'm arguing that Big Ten is better in this scenario, my response is like, oh, you had 10 guys enter the portal from Tennessee. Haven't you bragged because Tennessee's been recruiting top 10 classes for 10 years? Okay, where's those freshmen that are so good? Where are those guys who could not only prove that they got a spot on Tennessee next year, but they could ball out and then a week after the bowl game hit the portal and go get paid? Because realistically, that's the way it is. We keep saying how deep SEC is, but at the end of the day, if SEC is so deep and teams like Tennessee and Vanderbilt are so deep and have been doing more so Tennessee and Texas, who's been doing this year after year after year. But it's like, if you're so deep, you should have a 4 and 5-star guy waiting with all this talent. What better way for a 4 or 5-star freshman to jump in, go off for 100 yards, 12 catches, and a touchdown, and then, okay, if I don't feel comfortable here with Texas, or Texas ain't willing to give me a little bit of NIL, fuck yeah, I'll hit the portal. I'll go get it from Auburn, or I'll go get it from some other desperate team who's maybe in the Big Ten or maybe in the ACC. Because at the end of the day, like 2022, this conversation was different because it was a 14 playoff versus a 12-team playoff. In a 14 playoff, those bowl games do mean a lot more. The sweet New Year's Six bowls do mean a lot more. But then you fast forward to today where it's a 12-team playoff. It takes away from your bowl games as far as your teams. But I think bowl games as a player, unless you're a solidified player, but other players, it should be just as important for the exact reason I just said. Go ball out and get an NIL deal. If it's not with your current team, guess what? The portal opens in a week or 2 after these bowl games. Go hit the fucking portal. And when you're in the portal, show them your tape. Go show them how you just balled out against, if you're a Vanderbilt player in this situation, go show how you balled out against Iowa. And guess what? There's probably Iowa players who are going to show their Vandy tape and go show, hey, I balled out. Where's my NIL? And vice versa. Like, that's going to happen throughout. So I think these bowl games, as a player that's not maybe solidified as a big NIL target or a draft pick target, whatever, as a player, you should want to show up for them games. I get it's harder for a coach to get everyone bought in, but there's got to be some players out there who just want to dig in and go prove themselves for, like I said, their current school or their next school. With as much money floating around college football, a bowl game is a perfect opportunity to go out and try to do something like that.
I think that's one thing that sorry, Logan, I thought you were.
Before we jump off this topic, this is go off. Hopefully Graham can still hear me on this, but I still had the list pulled up. This is back when I thought the SEC had won 3 straight for the last time. Excuse me. I didn't realize it was as recent as it was. I was thinking like mid to late 2000s. So in 06, Florida won, 07, LSU won, 08, Florida won, 09, Bama won. And then you also had Auburn, Bama, the 3 years following. that's when we went seven straight, and that's when everybody's like, it's without a doubt SEC's the best. But for a conference to have Florida, LSU, I guess it's Florida twice now. Oh no, it's LSU, Florida, Bama, Auburn. Actually, Florida was before that too, so you had Florida win 2, so it was 8 straight. But having LSU, Florida, Bama, Auburn, 4 different teams, that's also insane to do in the late 2000s. But I just wanted to throw that in there because we were talking about a little bit ago. But back on topic currently, I just think it's a great opportunity to go prove yourself to these maybe unproven guys, you know?
Yeah, I mean, and that's one thing I commend Kirby so much for, the way he had his team balled in. Did anybody opt out of that bowl game, that Florida State bowl game? I think the only person I didn't play was Brock Bowers, but it was because he was hurt. Like, I don't even think he played. He barely could play against Alabama the week before. Like, he was really hurt.
Yeah, I think he was the only person that didn't play. And Florida State had like 15 people that opted out for that game or something crazy.
Yeah. So
yeah.
But
hey,
right,
didn't TikTok boy, he was the only one who hit the portal, actually, wasn't he? It was Humphrey. Wasn't Humphrey the only one who hit the portal before the bowl game?
Maybe.
Or did Portal hit the portal?
Humphrey played last year. Yeah, because remember, he's the one. That's what the good brother Josh May, he's like, what he talks about Ryan Williams, he's like, he's just a Julian Humphrey merchant or something like that.
Yeah.
But here, real quick, before we get out of here, I want to just talk about real quick one thing from each of us for our respective teams. So we're about to get a few different perspectives on Georgia. But on your perspective team, what is one thing? All right, so one thing you're excited for your team for next year, what you're looking towards, and then your favorite college football moment of the year. So I'm going to give mine real quick. I may be taking the lowest hanging fruit here for Georgia, but the youth on this team that we saw last year and didn't lose much of it at all. I don't think. They had the controversy, or not the controversy, but the questions of whether or not Nate or Chauncey were going to come back or running back. They're staying. The continuity that's going to be formed over this next few years, and the guys that you're bringing back, losing Zach Branch, is going to suck. But I'm really excited to see how this youth boils together next year. So I want to kind of take an easy one there, so y'all could maybe take a better one. But I think my favorite moment of this year was being at the Hard Rock Seminole with Tripp and some of our buddies the day before we left for his bachelor trip, and watching Georgia beat Tennessee in overtime, walk off the field, and there was this Tennessee fan in front of us talking to us the whole game. I mean, the whole game. He wasn't necessarily saying like, "Oh, Georgia sucks," but he was bragging about Tennessee the whole time. And then when that game got tied up after Gunner threw that touchdown, he disappeared, bro. Houdini.
Humphreys. Yeah.
He Houdini'd. Absolutely Houdini. But yeah, so I think that's my favorite from the year. Tripp, go ahead.
I'm gonna have some similar points to yours. Number one being the thing I'm most excited for about next year. And not only am I excited about the youth of this team and them coming back because of how well they progressed as the season went on, I think we have an actual pretty big QB competition happening in Athens right now that we just don't really know a lot about. And I'm excited to see what the outcome of that is for next season. I think Pugs has a very, very good chance of possibly taking over, but we'll see. Favorite moment of this season. Anytime we beat Alabama, I'm going to choose that. So beating the shit out of them, not only beating them, bending them over our knee and putting belt to ass on them in the SEC championship to win the 3rd in a row. And I do want to make an honorable mention, and this is a 2-parter. Another favorite moment of mine, and it was a negative thought, or negative moment at the time, but it turned out to be positive, was Ellis Robinson, Michael Phelps swan-on diving onto that pile in that Alabama game, because I ripped him a new asshole for him showing how green he is. But the improvements that kid made throughout the season from that point forward, he is truly showing, and this is non-Georgia bias, this is non-SEC bias, he is looking like a potential first rounder after the way that he played the rest of that season. So that moment,
first overall.
That was to me, and like an aha moment. Like, I picked on this kid because he's young, and Kirby probably lit his ass up the second they walked in that locker room, and he went and shut everybody up the rest of the season. So that's something I won't forget from this one. And we laughed about that shit for like 5 straight minutes on the pod after that happened. So,
Hey, he's proven. I mean, Ellis is number 1 rated corner in the history of high school recruiting, and kind of got to see the reason why.
Yeah, Tripp said, potential first rounder. I think that's a no-brainer. I think after this season, that's a no-brainer. Even Big Ten fans would admit that. Honestly, I'm pretty good about trying to intentionally watch analysts who kind of have a Big Ten bias or maybe are from the West Coast, because I want to see what type of SEC recognition they give. And even on their list, Ellis was like, by the end of the season, he was on everyone's top 5 corners, in the nation. So, to kind of piggyback off Tripp, I'm super proud of Ellis as well. We always, were under the impression that he was going to, break through. But like Joey said, being the highest rated, corner of all time, to see some of those kind of rookie mistakes and blunders in the beginning, we had to temper ourselves. So it was good to see him come around. That was a good one, Tripp. Kudos to you for that one. My favorite moment of the season, I would say, honestly, of course, like Tripp said, beating Bama. I mean, that's really like the second or third time I've only seen it in my recent memory, in my lifetime. So I believe, did Stafford get a win over them? I think he did. And that was so long ago, man. I mean, I might have been watching the television, but actually, remembering it and having those moments like we do these days, it's not the same. So always special to beat them. So I'm gonna have to steal yours with that one. I'd be lying if I said any other moment amounted to that one, especially at your house, Trip. We had a good time that night. So
we did.
Awesome time to be with the bros. And what was the other part, Joey? My bad.
Just what are you looking most forward to for Georgia next year? Also,
next year,
let me tell you this before you go, Graham. The Mets are absolutely going berserk right now. You guys signed Freddie Peralta from the Brewers.
Who did we give him?
It was some type of trade.
We can learn more into it, but I want to let you know they're making some moves.
Fair enough. That's Patreon content. But what I'm looking forward to next year the most, honestly, man, I've been big on him this whole episode, so it's only right that I stick it to him one last time. Pause. But it's only because I love him and I respect him like a real OG in my life, man. Like honestly, if I ever ran into this dude, it'd be like I ran into my pops. No lie, man. Kirby, you got to show me some shit next year, bro. You really do. Like, I do believe that you still the Don Juan. I do believe still that, you got the biggest nuts and the biggest cojones in the business. You showed us 2 times last season, but you didn't show us when it mattered most. I've given you some passes in the last couple of years, especially with that situation with your own father. We'll never play with that or downplay that. God rest his soul. That's something that we never would, want to see any coach deal with in the middle of a season or at all. But with that being said, that's what I'm looking forward to the most. He's been getting criticism about his coordinators. He's been getting criticism about his quarterbacks. He's been getting criticisms all around. At the end of the day, you cannot call yourself number 1 if you go 4 straight years in a row without a playoff win. So he got to show me something.
All right, Logan, wrap us up.
All in all, first off, I just want to say, bringing up the SEC championship, my team was not in it. The Dogs won, so obviously that being a highlight for you guys makes all the sense, especially with the whooping you guys put on. But also a great moment for me as well that week, because that's the only week all 4 of us got together and watched the game. So that was a very memorable moment for the squad here, for the fans union. Got together, watched the game, watched 3 of the 4 members get another SEC championship under their belt. So that was a dope moment in itself. If we're kind of looking back on the pod itself. But to go on with the question at hand here, honestly, the whole season, dude, like this is by far the best season Ole Miss has ever had. Like it is insane to say I watched what happened. And I'm talking everything from me being on this podcast, beating LSU, which now sucks, beating LSU, watching our fans not rush the field after beating, I think it was number 6 LSU at the time, 4 LSU, something like that, top 10 opponent. We didn't rush the field. I remember coming on this podcast like, this is the new standard, boys. I'm out here bringing flowers. I'm giving my boy Kiffin his flowers, which I still give his flowers. He could have left better. I'm gonna still give him his flowers. He put Ole Miss on a pedestal, and Pete Golding seems like he's going to keep him there. So let's hope that is the case moving forward. 2 or 3 games is only 3 games, but we'll see what Pete Golding does with his coaching staff put together and the players he brings in, because it will be a little different. We all know that. However, Ole Miss won 13 games this year. That's the most ever by Ole Miss in a season. They won 11 regular season games, the most ever by Ole Miss in a regular season. I watched us only lose 2 games all year, and one of those teams we got redemption on. I was there. It was a crazy game. Sugar Bowl, the biggest stage you could be on in that point in time. And I'm sorry it comes at your guys', discretion, but obviously it's a huge moment as an Ole Miss fan. The biggest win ever in program history, and I was there. The biggest 2 wins in program history I was there for, which is insane to say. Like, Ole Miss is in the playoffs, winning twice. Being able to be there is incredible. We're literally 19 seconds away from playing for the Natty. I think when Beck rushed that ball in, there was like 18 seconds left when we got the ball back. So at the end of the day, yeah, we were 19 seconds away and they were at the 4-yard line or whatever. But, I mean, we're like 1 play away, 1 more stop away, 19 ticks of the clock away from playing for the Natty. Not saying we would have won it, but that thought in my head is insane. A lot of cool moments, whether it's taking the solo trip to Oxford, watching Ole Miss win a playoff game by myself because my family was like, I don't know about it. And I was like, I'm buying tickets. And I don't think anyone took me serious until they saw my ass driving to Oxford to watch that playoff game. And then all of a sudden, they're like, whoa, like Dylan hits me up, like FaceTimes. He's like, bro, you really at the game? I'm like, yeah, I told you I was going. Like, I wasn't bullshitting, but, I guess I had to call their bluff on that one because I was going. And also, shout out to Dylan, bought us tickets. Wasn't even able to go. Shout out to Dylan, though. Bought us tickets. Me, Pops, Jason enjoyed one hell of a game in New Orleans a week and a half or so after that, a week later, however long ago after that it was. But, I mean, honestly, this season as a whole seems so surreal as an Ole Miss fan, seeing us reach this mark. Seeing our coach leave us the way all that played out, you feel super deflated. Then all of a sudden you're going into playoffs with kind of the same mindset I had going into this season of like, what the hell to expect? I have no clue. We blow out Tulane just like we did in the regular season. Doesn't like we skip a beat. Then there's still that thought in the back of your head, like it's still Tulane, you know what I mean? But then you go and you compete with Georgia. You have a hard-fought battle. You come back down from 2 scores the same way they did the regular season. You get the job done. Trinidad Chambliss makes 3 straight unreal plays. Lucas Carnero plays out of his mind, hits the 2 longest field goals in Sugar Bowl history. Ends up being the 2nd longest in college football playoff history, which later he tied the 1st longest with 59 against Miami. Obviously, it's a game winner with 6 seconds left. Like, there's a lot of crazy moments that come to mind. And kind of like Tripp's talking about Buddy jumping on the dog pile, ball-headed play. Gunnar Stockton obliterated Ole Miss in that regular season game. From that point on, I had talked about it on the pod earlier, talking about how we have outscored our opponents in the 4th quarter by a tremendous amount from that point forward. Georgia outscored us 17-0 in the 4th. After that, Ole Miss in the 4th quarter, their defense locked in. Like I think that was a turning point in Ole Miss this season. Pete Golding got the defense together, which now he's the head coach, but Pete Golding got that defense together, and them boys were playing out of their minds the rest of the season. They were bending a lot and not breaking in a lot of these big games, as you see against Georgia. There's a couple times against Miami where we bent and didn't break, but at the end we broke when it mattered most, obviously. But, I mean, all in all, dude, I can't say enough about this Ole Miss season, whether it is Lane Kiffin taking us to new heights and Pete Golding taking over and continuing those new heights. And, I said it earlier in the podcast, there's only 2 SEC coaches with more playoff wins than Pete Golding, and it's Kirby Smart and Nick Saban. It's the best in the game currently and the greatest of all time to be in the game. So pretty elite category to have yourself in, 3 games in your coaching career. So there's really so much I could say about Ole Miss and could rant for another 10 minutes. But all in all, dude, what a time to be a Rebel. What a time to be a fan of University of Mississippi. But there are 2 things I'm going to try to show on camera here. So everyone who listens to the pod regularly knows that I went to these games. I try to send a picture in the group chat. I don't know if it ever finally went through or not. But I don't know if you guys can – let me try this. This might work differently. Okay. So it's still a fucking – okay, so I got commemorative tickets that I bought that actually have my actual seat number and everything on them. So this is the one for Tulane. I actually got them like a little frame for them this past week. and then this is the Georgia one. So obviously I went to both of these games. Had to get these guys framed. I am pretty stoked about how they turned out. This can be something I can keep forever, And I just knowing that in 20 years I can look back at those and be like, I was at those games. Like those seats are where I sat and all of that. Just the memories that are inside that little piece of paper are insane to me. Like I'll always look at those and think back of like, damn, that was like the night of my life, low key. Like especially going to Bourbon Street after and shit with Pops and my brother. So like it was kind of surreal moment.
Danae was down there getting dirty too, huh?
So fun fact, actually, back in the day, my mom would bartend and my dad would bounce at a bar for like extra money and whatnot, right? When we were like babies, right? We would go to grandparents Friday, Saturday nights. My parents go make their extra money, but really they were partying. As we get older, we realized this. So there was the band that used to always play at that local bar. There's a guy named Vince who now has a residency at Fat Cats on Bourbon Street in New Orleans. He's been playing there for 20 years now. So we go to that bar pregame and they're not playing. There's some other band playing. My dad asked the bartender, like, who's playing tonight? And then she's like, I don't know, I'm new. The other lady tells them, oh, like it's whatever their name was. And my dad's like, oh, that's them. That's them. After the big win, we go back to Bourbon Street, go back to Fat Cats. My dad sees this man that he probably hasn't seen in 10 or 15 years. And the man, Vince, literally sees my dad and is like, I love you, Denny, and just hugs him. So it's dope as hell to see my dad like link up like a childhood friend he's got party memories with and shit. And then we all just sat in the back of this bar. We were just alternating rounds of beer that we were buying, reliving every little moment we could think of about that Ole Miss Georgia game. And on top of this, the background noise is one of my dad's old best friends just rocking out with his band playing. So it's like kind of like a surreal moment that whole kind of night, and then ending it where it's like literally as soon as the beers got empty, somebody got up and went and got another round. And we probably had 4, 5, 6 different rounds before we ended up Uber. I mean, we watched the band play until the band was done. So once the band was done, we kind of just wrapped it up. Pops caught up with his friend outside for 20 or so minutes, and we went back to the hotel room and drove home the next morning. But that was kind of like a cherry on the top too, just sitting there with dad and brother at the end of the night, and whether it's talking shit about, dang, if we remember Vince when we were kids, or it's just literally we would just sit there and play would pop in one of our minds, like, you remember when this happened? And we're just all on cloud 9, like, holy shit, this is happening.
Is there a better way to end this episode than talking about you and your pops just bashing some beers and listening to some good old rock music at a bar?
Hey, dude, it was like a nice way to kind of simmer down because adrenaline was pumping. Like we were on 10 after that win, obviously. So it was a nice way to kind of like, bring the adrenaline down a little bit, slam some beers. And like I said, it would just be randomly like Jason or dad or I would just bring up like, you remember this play? Like I forgot that even happened for a second, because we were all just sitting there just giddy like a 5-year-old kid on Christmas. You know what I mean? Like we were literally
smiling like the butcher's dog.
Hey, smiling
yeah.
like the dog. Hey, amen to that, because we all three were, bro. Like I woke up the next morning like checking my phone, like, was this real? And it's funny, we all share the same hotel room. Like we were in and out. We literally got there that morning, checked in, ate a little quick bite to eat, went to the game, went to get drinks after, went back to the hotel room, checked out the next morning, and drove home. It was a bang trip. So we all three are laying down in this same hotel room, and all three of our phones are just different highlights playing on Instagram and shit and Facebook, where we're literally laying down, talked about this game for 3 hours after the game, get back to the hotel room, and we're all just sitting there watching highlights while the TV's on ESPN playing highlights. That is literally how over the moon all three of us were there in that game. It was,
hey, man, that's what
crazy.
being a fan's all about. And I'm glad you got to go enjoy it.
Never got to experience that, so it was pretty cool. Pretty awesome season all in all for Ole Miss fans. Highs and lows, because even though we were 13-2, there were some lows during the Kiffin drama.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot to look forward to next year. A lot of great stuff for this year. So, guys, that wraps it up. We just completed our first season of Potting and Sport. So, that was a exciting season. We're going to be here in the off season. Whether or not it's every week, not sure, but definitely going to get some off season, maybe some I don't want to turn this into First Take or anything, but have some fun, some healthy debate conversations, because I think those are fun conversations to have, as long as they're not hot takes for the sake of being hot takes. You know what I mean? But is there anything anybody else wants to say before we get out of here?
Hell of a season, boys.
For
Hell
the
yeah,
fans,
boys.
by the fans.
Yeah, damn right, man.
I'll
Keep the
see y'all
fans
next season.
first.
Hey, I'll see you in the off season, brother.
That's true. Well, everybody, we're gonna go and wrap it up. Appreciate it again. NFL episode out. Also, college dropping with this one. So go tune into them both. We appreciate everybody listening, and we're gonna go get out of here. Peace.
Peace.